at the situation of, what rates are going to do. I think they're going to continue to go up.
What I like about that is it's coming from a completely different person than has any association with us in this market.
Right.
It's coming from a national, completely separate party at a higher level than us. He's saying what we're saying.
Right.
100%.
So, let's talk a little bit about this housing market. So, I want to talk with you here, Scott. Mm-hmm. How long you been in home warranty?
Actually, not too long. Maybe a couple of years.
Okay. And so you were a real estate agent before?
Absolutely.
Is that right?
Yeah,
okay.
I got my license in 2003.
What made you want to go into home warranty? I'm curious.
The synergy of a lot of my skills and background.
Okay.
It just seemed like the right thing. Plus, I was highly familiar with the product. So it just seemed like a natural fit for me.
Right. So, when you look at the home warranty side of things, we're going to talk a little bit coming up here about some of the advice you can give people, especially in this changing market. Should you get a home warranty, especially for new homes, and some of the facts. But I'm going to talk with you first, Brett. We're going to get to him in a second. So with the housing market, we talked about buying this year versus buying in 2022. We just talked about this on a show on Wednesday. Now, what I want to know, though, is what are some of the underlying or things that maybe will push people from not buying a home in today's market? And do they think that if you wait till 2022, that this housing market will open up and you're going to have a better opportunity because we're in a bubble?
Perspective, man. Some people say, here's the thing, dude. At the end of the day, what's your situation, right? If you can buy a house right now, then what's your option? Rent or buy? We kind of talked about this last time, which is you have to have a place to live.
Right, but rent sucks right now.
Yeah,
it's
right. So that's my point, which is you're going to pay probably more in rent than you are for your mortgage payment. And now, okay, so then if you want to do dollars for cents, you're actually saving more money by buying, right? Now, take on top of that the lowest interest rate we've ever had or close to it. So I have a buddy right now who's going to be moving from Philly back to Madison, Wisconsin, where I'm from.
Sure.
And, got 800 credit score. He's got money down, whatever, makes a good living, all that stuff. And he's like, well, because same thing in Madison. Dude, in Madison, a home that's $400,000 is selling $450, 50 grand over, and they're bringing the different. This is Madison, Wisconsin, dude. Crazy, right?
Yeah.
So he's like, I find it crazy. Well, maybe I should just rent. I said, okay, well, say you wait a year and a half, 2 years, but now interest rates are even up, 2% more?
Well,
what's that going to be? So you're a lender. Say you have a $400,000 loan.
Sure.
And the interest rate of what it's at right now, say you're doing the same, you're doing 20% down, whatever.
Yeah.
How much more is your mortgage payment for that same loan with 2% higher interest rate?
It's going to be pretty extensive. It's going to be pretty substantial. Yeah. It's
200-300 more?
Well, it depends on the loan size.
Okay.
What is the loan size?
Well, I think it's fair to say that that's essentially like paying 50 grand more for the house if the interest rate goes up.
Right.
Even if the house goes cheaper, you're actually paying more.
Well, I think interest rate is driving the market. I do.
Correct.
But I also think that when you look at the whole the position of where people are at, and does it make sense? Is it financially responsible to buy going above price? That's the question. Are you going to look back at this, let's say 3 or 5 years, and go, man, why am I doing this?
Okay, so let me ask you this. What's your overall game plan? Do you feel that in 3 to 5 years the market's going to severely come down?
No.
Me either.
Well, but don't you think?
But if you feel that way, you feel that way. I'm not here to convince somebody of like a doomsday. I'm not here to unconvince someone of doomsday scenario.
Mm-hmm. So I'm going to ask you a question. If you had money, you have money, you can buy a home. Let's say you're going to buy in today's market. And I'll ask you the same question. And I know you just bought. Why would you not wait to 2022? Because the data that I'm seeing is showing that buying at that time point, at that time frame, you might have a better position, and that more homes will be on the market, so you're not going to overpay for the home. Now you have a better opportunity, and financially that might be more responsible for you to do that, because you now are not exhausting your account. Some people don't even have a savings, and then you're going to go throw it on something, and then money.
Like I said,
that.
It depends on your scenario. But then the other side of the coin is all that makes sense, and you might be right, dude. And that mentality, I understand that mentality, and I have nothing to oppose that. But the other side of the coin on that is, until that happens, you're going to rent.
Right, Scott. What do you think?
And nothing's a guarantee of what you're saying.
Right.
So then you're taking a chance too. So then at the end, your risk reward, how much higher are you coming out ahead by doing that? That's what you need to look at your own scenario with.
From my perspective, it's a no-brainer. Okay, you buy now. Reason being,
I love them.
you have to.
You're all in. You're pushing the chips.
I'm trying to be politically correct, and he's.
Oh no, I'm going to go right to it.
I love it.
And the reason is, it's simple math. Okay, I just bought a house. I paid $15,000 over ask.
Right.
Okay, people would say that's crazy. If I rented a comparable house,
sure,
it would be $3,000 a month. I would piss away $36,000 with absolutely nothing to show for it. And the interest rates could go up, so in case I would pay even more on my mortgage. Would I rather pay $15,000?
That's a damn good point.
Or $36,000 with nothing to show for it, with the possibility of the price going up? So am I willing to bet $36,000 that prices will come down?
All you analytical thinkers out there.
Well,
right there.
No, I get it.
No, I mean, he broke it down perfectly. That's hard to argue that.
Sure, but let's say you're somebody that
unless you're a doomsday scenarios.
Let's say you're somebody that has just enough money to get into a house, though. You don't have, like, let's say you're pulling all the money together, and now you have a mortgage. What if you don't get the equity back? And I understand what you're saying, but you're still overpaying for that price of that home.
What do you mean if you don't get the equity back?
Well, listen, the equity in the property that you just paid in, you're now negative equity, in my opinion. So how many years is it going to take for you before you start to break even? Even though you're renting, that's not the case. The case is let's say you're renting now and you wait a year. Let's say you pay $2,000 a month, $1,500 a month, right? You got, and so now you're out what, 15 grand, 20 grand?
He just paid 15 grand over for his house, and it's up 50 grand more from there.
I understand, but that doesn't happen for everybody, does it? In every location, it's got to be a specific zip code, probably.
No, it's pretty much going up everywhere, man.
At that pace.
Yeah, I operate in the Phoenix market as well.
It's all relative to the house value.
60% of my time down there, and it's even worse down there. So it's not a Las Vegas thing. It's
same thing in Madison, Wisconsin. Like I told you, my sister-in-law had their house on the market for $360, and they sold it for $410 with the people waiving the appraisal.
Yeah, I've
50 grand over.
Right. I've seen a lot of people waiving appraisals, waiving to home warranties, which we'll get to in a minute. And then also, it's no big deal. I've seen them, and I know you've seen them on the MLS, where it says, we are showing the house starting Saturday. We will be sifting through offers Sunday night and making our decision on Monday. I mean, how intimidating is that if you're a buyer?
Sure. Yeah.
So if you fall in love with the house, which you should never do.
Well, they're doing that as a tactic too, because they're trying to get the highest offer. Yeah. That's why they're saying we won't look at anything until Monday or Tuesday. Well, I just submitted an offer on Thursday. Why are we waiting?
Listen, I'd rather have an agent though be straight with me about what's going to go down and how they're going to handle it versus.
Yeah, I just think obviously there's a tactic though. Some people don't tell you, but there's obviously a reason they're going to do that.
Well, a lot of my friends that are representing buyers, which they're not really that fond of these days for obvious reasons, they're being very straight with them. They're saying, look, this is what you're looking at. You're going to have to pay over. Do you have $20,000 in cash right now that you're not planning on spending on this house because you're going to put over?
No one's trying to be a jerk. It's just the reality of it, man. They're going to waste their time. You're going to waste your time and if you're not comfortable with that, understandable, but we need to know that now.
I have a realtor in Phoenix that I work with sometimes, and she told me that when she has a buyer, they put an offer in on every house they want to see. And then if they don't like it when they get there, they retract the offer.
Yep.
Wow.
That's why he had in his that the buyer has to see it.
Yeah, when I sold my house,
he knows the game, dude.
I made it mandatory that they actually come and see the house in because they bought it just off the pictures.
Yeah.
And so I said, you have to come see the house. And what I was trying to sift out was, were they putting an offer in on every comparable house in town and then coming in from California and retracting all those offers? I, of course, didn't want to take my house off the market. So I said,
he's trying to avoid wasted time. Absolutely. That was smart, man.
No, it's true. And you know what? I have a lot of people that are asking me, hey, let's just put an offer in. Let's put an offer in. And then I'm like, you know what? You might want to go survey that house because there might be more work than you want to put into it. And you might be paying above the value of the home, too.
I mean, I understand, though. Like, if you've got an out-of-state buyer and they can't be there every weekend and stuff, it's like, I mean, that's what you need to do on your end to protect yourself, because a buyer's agent, if I got a buyer's agent, I'm going to write it without.
So when is there ever a point in your guys' position, because you're a real estate agent, you've been one here, Scott, and you're a realtor, obviously, Brett. When is there a point where you have a person that you said, you know what? Maybe the time to buy a home is not right for you now. Maybe
all
in
the time.
future.
All the time. You got to value your own time.
You know what usually happens is people take care of themselves. They want a wish list and they tell me this and that, and I send them everything on the market, and they're like, well, this isn't. I said, this is, I'm sorry, this is everything that's on the market. I have you going on notifications, and so anything does, and then I never hear from them again. Like it takes care of itself. It's like because I know exactly what they're doing. Then they're going to Zillow, then they're going to all these other websites because they think I'm not sending them everything on the market because I want to make my job harder.
Is it they're discouraged though? Maybe they've been discouraged. You look at the housing market and what's going on, or is it they think that we're in a bubble or that we're going to actually have a recession? There's a lot of people that have. So that's like that mindset of where are you at mentally?
That's what I'm saying. What's your scenario and how do you feel? Ultimately, if you feel that we're heading toward, then don't buy. That's cool too. Like everyone has a right to feel how they feel, man. I'm not here to disprove anybody or argue anybody. I'm just here to tell you what I see and what needs to be done if you want to do it right now. When break it down, especially the way that he breaks it down with numbers, I think it doesn't make sense to not buy right now if you can.
I think a lot of the
but that's my opinion.
A lot of the people that are quote unquote buyers right now, they suffer from fear of missing out. They're like, okay, so-and-so just sold their house and made a massive profit. I have to get into this. I have to buy into this system.
Absolutely.
But they are not necessarily in a position to buy. And then when they realize how difficult it is, especially in this ridiculous market, and they go, whoa, I don't have the money for this, then they get slapped around a little bit, and then that's where.
Well, that's my point. Yeah. My point is you have people just like that.
You just need to have those conversations.
But here's the thing: in 2022, if you wait, maybe those people that were saying, "Hey, I just can't afford it," they have more time to save, and the housing market might open up, and then the prices of homes, they're not going to be 15, 30.
I hope that happens, dude. I hope they can. I would love. I think everyone should enjoy being able to own a home. I mean, not everyone qualifies for the home. That's the reality of it. Not everyone can buy into certain markets. That's the reality of it. Cash is going to beat you out. That's the reality of it. I can't change those things, but if things soften up and people who are on the borderline who couldn't and now have an opportunity to, I think that's a wonderful thing. 100%, man. I just don't see any crash happening.
Not a crash. I say a correction. I think that what we're looking at.
But even with a correction, I don't think it's going to be that much of a difference when you combine higher interest rates and stuff.
I disagree. I think it's going to actually open up properties. I do.
Yeah.
And I think it's going to.
Well, yeah, in that sense, I do.
And that's going to be the supply and demand thing that's going to help the economy.
Correct.
Right?
But it's not going to. It's just going to calm down.
Right. But that average person, like he was saying, that can't get a home because it's costly.
Yeah.
Like, he can afford it. You can afford it. Yep. But what if you're somebody out there that's just pulling everything together?
I agree. And I hope that happens. I would love to see that, man. Like I said, I think everyone should have, if they can, man, owning a home is an amazing thing. And if you can do it, I think you should. So if something's a little tight right now, I get it. I've been there my whole life. There's plenty of markets I couldn't buy in. Yeah. And to be honest with you, with what I want right now, I couldn't really buy into that market, So if things lighten up or at least calm down a little bit so that more people have a chance, that's a wonderful thing, man.
So you going into this, and Scott, I'm just curious, you're a home buyer now, and you just bought a home.
Right.
What was some of the things that you were thinking about or the challenges or some of the things that maybe you were looking at that says, if I see this data or something like this, I might not, want to buy a home in this market. Is there anything that was preventing you from buying a home?
Absolutely not. We took the money and ran on our house that we had.
I love this guy, dude. Yep.
Yeah. I mean, we cashed out. That was our dream home. It was beautiful. It's too much house, but I live with a wife and 2 daughters, so good luck explaining that. So, it's just we cashed out. We both agreed that there's never going to be a better market. Let's take the money and run. Let's downsize our house, and then maybe if things fall down later, we'll buy a quote unquote forever home. But with response to what you're saying in terms of a correction, I agree with him. I think that there's going to be a moderate correction. Is mortgage forbearance and evictions and stuff like that going to affect the supply of houses on the market? Absolutely. But I guarantee you, yesterday in New York, there were at least 10 private equity firms waiting, saying we are going to pounce on Vegas the minute all these houses come up because the rents are so high and the return on investment is massive.
Yeah.
So that's what's going to happen. I mean, that's
and they know California's moving here. They know we're the new Southern California.
Right. And so the market's just they're going to come in and they're going to buy like people did in 2008 and 2009, where they were coming in and buying a lot of 300 houses. And so when they do that, it's going to maybe stabilize the market a little bit. So you're going to go from white hot to red hot, but you're not going to see this huge glut like you did in 2008, 2009. Like you were mentioning, you showed houses for 2 years and not one of them was occupied.
First 2 years of homes they sold out here in Las Vegas were vacant. 2 years.
You're not going to, I just don't think you're going to see that because there are still a lot of renters. And like I mentioned earlier, the rents are so high that if I pay on that, the return on investment for me is really, really good.
So I know we saw that the investors came in back in the mid 2000s because the cost of those homes were so cheap and you can get such a high return. But is the returns that high enough where they're going to say, I really want to delve into this market at that capacity?
If you're predicating things based off what you think the future is going to happen, yes.
I don't know.
Listen, man. These hedge funds and stuff they do their numbers, dude. They don't lose money.
Yeah, but why not?
So they're calculating things and factoring a lot of things, and they're putting their prediction like a bet on the market, on the future.
Why not tap into a different market, though? It seems like Vegas
is overpriced. It's an international market.
But it just seems overpriced.
It's not. It is for Vegas, but compared to the rest of the United States, especially California, it's not.
Yeah.
I would say we're kind of in the middle of the market. Yes, there's other places. If I go buy a house in Mississippi, it's going to be cheaper. But if you take the same house and put it in all these areas that people are fleeing from, or in fact, like Austin, Texas, they're fleeing too, prices are going up like crazy.
Yeah.
So
$100,000 in 6 months, home prices went up in Austin.
But what's interesting, and I'm sitting here looking at the situation, is that, you know, a lot of people selling your home, you're going to make a huge profit, and they're just rolling that you know, money that they're making off the house back into another house. What if you're just the average homeowner out there, though, that it doesn't have that equity in that home, right? There's somebody out there that's trying to buy a home and they're pulling their money together. It's easy, and I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but it's easier to say, hey, I'm going to use my house that's appreciated and I have equity and I made a large amount of money off of it to roll it back into a house and just overpay, same as California.
Yeah.
But what if you live here? That's the question. If you live here and you don't currently own a home and you're trying to pull money together, you're a first-time home buyer, does it make sense to buy in this market or wait till 2022?
I think it makes sense now, just because there are no guarantees. We just got off the phone with a guy who I would easily classify as an expert in terms of rate possibilities going up. When your rates, they have such a huge effect on your buying power, and I just don't think that because of other factors in the market, such as replacement costs, prices of commodities, labor, things like that, I just don't see it going down that much.
Yeah.
So in that case, I would buy. Plus, when you're a first-time home buyer, everybody has dreams of making instant. You have to play the long game. You have to, because you have to say, okay, this is my key to wealth. This is my quote-unquote retirement plan. I'm going to buy this house. I'm going to live for 30 years. I'm going to take the money, and I'm going to use that as a portion of my retirement. That's been around since...
That's the American dream. Part of the American
dream. What
if
this correction, though, happens before that appreciation in homes goes up? Meaning, let's say in 2000... let me explain. Let's say in 2022, okay, we start to see homes starting to open up. Now the prices are coming down. There's more inventory. So now that person bought a home back in, let's say, the middle of this year, way overpaid for it, $30,000, $35,000. Now do they start kicking themselves going, that wasn't financially responsible, and I overpaid, and now guess what? My home's capped out, and all I see is it's going back down the other direction.
Okay, so say it's a $400,000 home, and say someone paid $430,000 on a $400,000 home. Say a year and a half from now, let's say it even went down. Instead of $400,000, it's $485,000. It's $385,000. So it's gone down $15,000 in value, not including someone paying $30,000 over. So you're looking at $45,000 difference. Well, you had to wait. So what? You paid rent for a year and a half until you save up, you know, to make up. So you paid rent for a year and a half. So that's money wasted there, and now you're paying a higher interest rate.
What if
which is another $200 or $300 there? So how did you really like? And here's the thing: like he said, it's a long game. If you're going to buy a house, you're going to live there 4 or 5, 6. I mean. Now, if you're betting that Vegas is going to go down to zero population, and that we're not evolving into the next Southern California, and that there's a doomsday, then I don't know what to tell you.
I wouldn't say it's a doomsday, but I just think that there's got to be a cap on where you're at mentally and how much money you put into it. And I understand there's rents.
Correct.
But the average person doesn't always pay $2,000 or $3,000 in rent.
I understand,
you know what I mean?
but that, okay, New York City doesn't have a problem getting what they get for rent. Neither does LA. The average person is not paying that, right?
Yeah.
The average person, but if you want to live there, and it commands it.
Yeah.
Well, one more
So
thing.
it's a matter of, is this place going to remain desirable, and is it going to get even higher for desirable? Yes, is what I feel.
One more thing we haven't touched on as far as people putting money down, okay? You're paying a lot in rent, okay? I've got a friend who has a one-bedroom apartment. He's paying $1,575 a month, okay? Now, with that factor, okay, I'm paying high rent.
One bedroom. Wow.
Yeah.
Dude, that's what I'm saying.
It's in a nice area over in Summerlin, but
but still, dude.
Yeah, it's a lot of money. And so, let's say that I'm paying that, okay, and I have an average household income. One thing we haven't touched on is it's going to be all but impossible to save money with inflation running out of control. How can I, if I'm going to Taco Bell and spending $27, you know, for 2 people to eat, then, well, maybe 3. Okay, then how am I going to save money? If I say I want to put away X amount of dollars per month, but my pay scale or my earnings are in no way competing with the pace of inflation, I'm coming up in the hole every month, and it's going to be harder to save.
Well, I think you got to look at 2 things, and you brought up a good point. But one is consumer confidence. It's only going to keep going as long as people are willing to pay for what that property's worth, and they're confident in the economy and what they're doing. The second thing is, you said inflation. If the cost of living goes up, then you're going to say, well, maybe it's not just the mortgage and all this money I put into it. Can I really afford a mortgage at this point? Because now you got inflation, you got all these things. So there's a lot of considering factors, is what I'm saying. Just to say, hey, I'm going to go buy, I'm going all in. I don't know. To me, I think there's other layers to this. What do you think, Brett?
Sorry, I was reading the question.
Read his question.
Well, his question was, did legislation go through so that investors can't buy up fire sales? I don't know. Not that I'm aware of.
Yeah.
I think,
But I don't know. I'm not.
No, I think I can remember a time when I had a friend in Texas that wanted to buy out here, and we were looking at new homes, because at that point, new homes were escalating in price. If you bought in phase 1, by the time they were done, you made a lot of money.
100%.
They flat out said, we will not sell to an investor. We will not sell to an out-of-state person who's not going to live here.
Yeah, there were some people that did that.
And I remember, I'm sure you remember too, when you bought a new home, they would make you sign a thing that said you had to live there, you know, occupy the home for 3 years before you could sell it. So I don't necessarily think you need the legislation on that, because let's say somebody could come in like a homeowners association and write some kind of bylaw in there. Okay, you really can't do too much about that. You have to abide by that, and you have the option of turning down the deal based on the homeowners package, which I'm sure you go through a lot. So I don't think legislation is necessarily needed.
I think the market takes care of itself when need be with that.
It's self-governing.
Yeah. It's so dollars and cents, literally.
So look, we're bringing this up, and here's the thing: we're all lenders and realtors, and you're in home warranty. I'm not going to be biased about the situation that, you know what, buy now and everything, because you know what, I think it's everybody's situation is different.
I'm
financially.
not either.
No, I know, but I think a lot of people out there want to put, this is a hot market. How many times you hear that, right? It's a hot market.
Yeah.
Things are going crazy. You better get yours where you
Listen,
when you can.
I'm just saying it should be a process that you think about, and it's a case-by-case scenario for yourself. Just, you know, all the things that we're talking about is, yes, this could happen, this could, whatever it is, but at the end of the day, so then what's your alternative right now is to rent, and wherever, I mean, rent's gone up 13%.
Yeah.
I mean, his buddy's paying $1,500 for, I mean, even if you want to get something that's a 2-bedroom condo that's not in the most desirable area, you're still paying $1,000, $1,100 a month.
I think it comes down to case by case too, though.
Yeah, that's
Mentally,
what I mean.
People might not be there, right? As far as they might be focused on something else. They might have.
If you're stressed about paying your bills, then maybe not buy right now, dude. Yeah. Maybe rent's better, because if you can't pay your bills, then it's easier to deal with rent than it is a house.
All right, let's segue to over here. We're going to talk to Scott about home warranty. Okay, Scott, thanks, man, for coming in on a Saturday. We're here at the French Workbench Podcast, and I wanted to ask you a question. First off, thank you for coming in, and you work with a company called Dwellness?
That's correct.
Okay, and what is your role there? What do you do there?
I'm in charge of sales and marketing
for wellness. The company's been around for about 35 years.
Okay.
They were formerly known as National Home Warranty.
Okay.
And what I brought to the table for them was about 20 years of real estate experience.
Sure.
Prior to that, nobody in the company had been a realtor, a licensed realtor. So it brought in a new way to create sales and get ourselves in tighter with our potential customers.
Gotcha. And so how long have you been in Vegas?
I moved here in 2000. So quite a while.
Wow, you've seen the ups and downs.
Oh, yeah. I've purchased houses in every conceivable environment.
Excellent. So what is different in this market, because we're going to talk about that, versus, let's say, the mid-2000s?
Oh, well, first of all, the sellers have so much power that the traditional way of writing a home warranty or an inspection or something to that effect into the contract has all but disappeared because the sellers have so much power.
Okay.
I split my time between here and Phoenix, and it's the exact same thing. It's not a Vegas thing. It's not a Phoenix thing. It's a nationwide thing.
Gotcha.
So, yeah, people will, traditionally the seller would pay for a home warranty. They have so much leverage right now that they're just saying, no, I'm not doing it.
Okay.
Thank you for watching an episode of the French Workbench podcast. If you want to tune into past episodes, please subscribe to my channel now. Also, if you want to look at our audio only options, we do have iTunes and SoundCloud.